All right. Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? All right. I am actually testing out some things back on the back end to see is it working. But we're gonna have us a little late night discussion in regards to there's so many people who want to start homeschooling, and we will not. I don't plan to do the whole presentation tonight, but I wanted to test out something new with the software. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try this live and see will it work. And let's see, I'm testing out now. And I hope you're having a good night tonight, this evening on this Sunday. Um, Say hello in the chat and we will be getting started very, very soon. Very, very soon. So let me see. I'm testing out some things. For those of you who do not know, this is the homeschooling side. So I know we're streaming on various different platforms right now, and you may be saying, what is this? Well, this is the homeschooling side, because for those of you who do know, I'm actually a homeschooling mom. So this is the other side of what I do. And so many people have been asking me this question. So I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and have this conversation just in case you are contemplating homeschooling and you feel like maybe possibly you can't do it if you work a traditional 9 to 5 job, or let's say first, second, third shift job, or if you are a single parent, or if you maybe you have some health issues, or your child or children, you may be thinking, oh, well, I can't homeschool. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, those are not reasons why you can't homeschool. Those are actually reasons why you should actually consider homeschooling, because of that fact. So let me just go ahead and just jump right into the presentation, and we'll see how far we go, because I really did this to see, could I utilize this platform in a different way in a particular group. But I see that some of you are on, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you some value since you gave me some of your time. So let's talk about homeschooling 101, the 7 things you need to know before you start homeschooling. Many people want to know what to do, what I need to do to homeschool. Well, it's some things that you need to know before you get started. For those of you who may not know who I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey. And I am a devoted mother. Many of you see me on the CTR media side, where I am a podcaster. I also help teach individuals how to start a podcast, build a podcast, monetize a podcast, and flip it into a business. You will also see me speaking, because I am an inspirational speaker. So I'm on stages getting you motivated, inspired, and giving you tangible things for you to do in order for you to obtain and reach your goals. Now, what you may not know is that at the age of 25, I had a stroke. Yes, I had a stroke, and literally I was paralyzed from the waist down, and I had no earthly idea, why, because I ate very, very healthy. I jogged like 10 miles a day. I mean, I did have some underlying health issues such as asthma and mitral valve prolapse, but for the most part, I should not have had a stroke. All right. And so, coming to grips with that, along with being a new mom, and I had amnesia, because a stroke actually brought on amnesia, where I lost a whole year of my life. And within that year that I lost, I became a new mom, and I did not even remember that I had my daughter. So having a newborn baby, cannot walk, cannot talk, like it was a very difficult time for me. And so I've been in education for over 25 plus years. My expertise is special needs education. ADD, ADHD, autism. I do have a child that is high functional autistic, that has dyslexia and many other developmental delays, which also helped me on my journey to homeschooling. He was what they call medical sensitive. And so we decided to homeschool him and his sister. And now we're at the end of our journey, and he is I'm just so grateful to God. So when I was working in the public school system, I was what they call the behavior specialist. So I would go in to try to figure out what was the breakdown of communication between the administrators and the student, between the teachers and the student, between the parents, faculty, and administrative team, and come to pretty much like a liaison between all the parties, helping them to get to a tangible, workable plan that will assist your child into a flourishing environment in order to learn and grow. I am also currently the co-founder and administrator for one of the largest homeschooling groups for people of color, with 24,000 homeschoolers and counting. So you will see that I'm an author, I'm a podcaster, I'm a public speaker. I actually edit magazines, or I would say editorial writer for magazines. We have a 501c3 where we help. We have CTR Media Network and CTR Homeschooling, which you're seeing today. Now, that is enough about me, okay? I really like every time we do presentations, I'm like, really, do I really have to say something about me? Because at the end of the day, I much rather hear about everyone else and learn their story. But I know for the sake of presentation wise, it's a good thing for you to get to know me before I actually go in, to let you know, hey, I'm just like you. Okay. But I found my path. I found my alignment in my journey. And now I'm helping other people who may have had challenges or may be considering homeschooling and thinking, oh, I can't homeschool because my child has special needs. Oh, I can't homeschool because my child is gifted and talented and I don't want them to get bored. Well, I have two children, one gifted and talented, one on the special needs spectrum. And I homeschool both of them, right? Successfully. They graduated, multiple certifications, highly qualified, doing amazing things. And how was I able to do that? Still being a mother, had to deal with getting back to my health, as well as being an active person in the community to help people within my community. So this is what I feel like people need to know before they start. Many people just want to start homeschooling and don't even understand, like, ground one, what should you be doing or what should you be thinking about before. So this presentation is all about the before, and this is a meaty, I would say, presentation. So I don't even know if I'm going to go through the entire thing on today. I might do a part 1, part 2, part 3. It just depends on how far I want to go. And so first of all, you need to understand the legal. We're gonna go over some of the things that you need to understand dealing with the legal requirements and regulations in order to homeschool. We're not gonna go into the nuts and bolts of it, but we're gonna give a generalized reason or things that you should know. And how would you know if choosing the right homeschooling approach? There are various different approaches to homeschooling that many people may not know about. More than likely, if you are a parent that have your child in public school, you may not even have thought about the different approaches of learning, because you're sending your child to school and you're not really thinking about this part, because I know most parents don't when your children are in public school. But as homeschoolers, this is one of the focal points that we think about a lot. The next one is creating a homeschool schedule and environment. Then after that is socialization and building a homeschool community. Many individuals feel like, okay, if I homeschool my children, then they're not going to be socialized. That's one of the main little myths that's out there. Next is assessing the progress and adapting your approach. How can you feasibly measure your child's activity, their growth, and their academia? And not only just academia, but on an emotional scale as well, which I talk about a lot, that the emotional side is just as important as the academic side. handling the challenges of homeschooling and staying motivated through the ups and downs, twists and turns of homeschooling, and preparing for your homeschool journey, whatever that looks like for you. And then we have a bonus where it's a final like project where we're going to help you with your homeschool action plan. Yes, yes, and yes. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into module 1. I may do just module 1, module 2. We'll see how far, because I wasn't initially planning on doing a presentation tonight, but since I see so many people on, I'm just going to go ahead and just give you a little something. Okay. So, understanding the legal requirements and the regulations. So, number 1, you need to understand the laws in your particular state. And also, if you are international, your country as well. Why? It's because every state is not the same. South Carolina, for example, is different from North Carolina, and it's different from Mississippi, it's different from Georgia. So understanding the rules and regulations for your particular state is crucial in order for you to be able to effectively homeschool your children, because what you do not want to do is go against the law and then find yourself on the bad side of the law with your children and jeopardize possibly losing custody of your children or child because you neglected to understand the laws of your particular state. And so many people feel like, okay, this is my child. These are my kids. I can do what I want to do. I decided I'm going to take my kids out of school because they're not teaching my kids right. Or you may just be like, I just want to homeschool. Because FYI, I am not anti-public school. I just feel like it's different things for different people and different families. And whatever you decide to do with your means of education is totally up to you and your family, because we have done both. But I also know that you cannot just, because think about it, once you decide to put your child in public school, you have to actually fill out documentation in order to admit them into school. So the same process that you did to get them in school is the exact same process that you need to do to withdraw them from public school. And you need to make sure that you keep records for every single thing that you do, just in case you may need to show some authorities that you have proof that you legally remove your child from the public school system. That is very, very, very important. And so, like I said, overall, the homeschooling laws is different by your state and your country. And so making sure that you understand this and adhere to all these national educational standards will be the best thing that you can do. You also need to understand the legal framework around your state and what you need to do and what's required for you to do for as a parent. Because in the state of South Carolina, the requirement is that you have to at least have a high school diploma to homeschool your child, the guardian or the parents, or you need to have an equivalence, a GED, in order to homeschool your children. So you do not have to have a college degree to homeschool in the state of South Carolina. But who knows, in another state, you may have certain other requirements that you have to meet. And in order for you to make sure that you stay on the right side of the law, understanding the framework will be very beneficial for you and also help you be able to maneuver through the new world of homeschooling. You also want to make sure when you remove your child from school, when you decide to homeschool, that you do not fall up under the attendance where you are considered truant. And truant is usually when you miss at least 10 calendar days of school, and it is not documents, such as maybe your child went to the doctor or maybe they were sick or something and you haven't sent in any paperwork or any letters saying, okay, this is why my child missed school, because children have so many days that they can legally miss school, just like a regular 9 to 5 job. It's only so many days that you can miss work without getting terminated. Well, although a child do not get terminated from school per se, but it will be put on their record if they go over those days. And then when they go over those days without proper documentation to justify the absence, then if you fall in that category, then you can fall into truancy, which basically means your child missed these amount of days without the proper documentation to say, okay, they are exempt, or maybe not, that's the wrong choice of word, not exempt, but approved. And once you start getting into that legal side of it, you're going to have a lot of different court dates going to the courts. And in some cases, some people have actually lost their children because of all the ongoing legal things. So if you do not understand this, I'll encourage you guys to get some a homeschooling legal counsel. We do have our own community where you can get legal advice and legal help. We do not directly provide it, but we will give you guys the information so that you can get that. One of the key things too is that you need to understand, based upon your state, the amount of records, if any, that you need to keep. Some states require you to keep records, journals, report cards, syllabus, agendas, lesson plans. They may not look at everything, but if you're ever called to present this information, you want to make sure that you have it on hand. And then some places require you to keep an active attendance chart along with the hours, especially if you are building out your own curriculum, especially when you start getting high school stages. You're going to need to categorize and show them the instructional hours and what curriculum that you use to build your curriculum around that, right? Now, some states actually require you as a parent, even when you're homeschooling, that you have to provide assessments, just like standardized testing they do for public school students. In some states, they actually require you to for your child to take standardized tests. Now, in the state of South Carolina, we have 3 homeschooling options that we can choose from. And one of the options that we can choose is to exempt ourselves from standardized testing if we choose to do so. Now, that is in the state of South Carolina. I cannot say that is the same for every other state because, like I said before, different states, different rules, different parameters that you have to stay under. And based upon that particular state, some actually require you to hire a certified teacher in order to administrate the test. And then in some places, you as the homeschooling parent can administer the test and just turn in the records. But again, that's why it's so important for you to understand the laws so that you can comply to the laws, so that you can submit your intent to be able to remove your child. So these are the steps. So after you understand the laws of your particular state, then you need to go into the mode of notification of the proper authorities. So research your state, the requirements, figure out what they are, write it down so that you can create your little checklist. Then you need to submit a notice of intent. That notice of intent is basically a withdrawal, letting them know that you intend to withdraw your child out of public school and you are going to be homeschooling them, or you just decided, because in some states, homeschooling is considered a private school. So it just depends on where you're at, what the terminology is. You need to follow all submissions and withdrawal guidelines and make sure that you always keep a copy of any correspondences that you have with the school, with the doctors, with the psychiatrists, if you have psychiatrists for your children, with the occupational therapists, if you have outside teachers, doctors, whatever the case, if you're corresponding with them, make sure that you keep it documented. Keep excellent records, okay? Records keeping is going to be your best friend, because you do not want to ever get in a situation where you may possibly need a certain document and you do not have it, or it's difficult for you to find it, because it can make a stressful situation even more stressful when you cannot locate that proper documentation. Like I said, some require standardized testing, some states and some don't. I would encourage you to still keep a portfolio just for your records, just to show, because those portfolio records can actually help you with scholarships. It can help you with getting your child in various different programs, other than just having records to show authorities if they ask you for certain things. And try your very best to stay informed on what's going on with your particular state. Okay, because right now, because so many people are starting to homeschool, especially our Black and Brown communities, I'm noticing that the laws are changing more expeditiously than they were before. um States where homeschooling was real relaxed is not so relaxed anymore. And so, because more parents, since since the pandemic, since the world shut down, more people have decided to homeschool their children for various different reasons. Some reasons are religious, some is just they just don't trust the system anymore, then some is just I believe that I can do it better. Various different reasons why people decide to homeschool their children. So whatever that case is, it's a lot of limelight shed on the homeschooling community right now. So make sure that you keep an eye and ear open on what's going on in your state, what's going on in your particular state, so you can be within the legal bounds of what's going on, so you won't find yourself on the outskirts or outstepping the law, because you never want to do that, because you can put yourself and your family in danger of losing your children. And many people don't want to talk about this, or I don't hear many homeschoolers talk about this side of it, but I want you to be well aware that although it's many different blessings and great things with homeschooling, and I am a complete 100%, 1000% advocate of homeschooling, but I'm an advocate for homeschooling the right way and making sure you have the documents in place, especially when your child has already been admitted in public school. Okay. It's not that difficult when you first start out, when your child first experience with school is homeschooling, because you didn't ever put them in the public school system. But when you are removing them, you have to follow the letter of the law. So I would encourage you guys to join any type of homeschooling groups that you feel that resonate with you, so that you can learn from various different homeschooling parents like myself, who've been homeschooling over 10 plus years, over a decade, and I've been in education for over 25 years. So I worked in the school system, okay, with special needs children and with behavior, what they say, behavior issues. And I hate that terminology, but it is what it is. And so I have both ends of the spectrum, understanding how it is from a public school standpoint, as well as being a homeschooling parent and a leader within the homeschooling industry. And I would encourage everyone to be a part of some sort of homeschooling association. So basically, a homeschooling association is an organization that more than likely is approved by the state. Now, we do have some that are not, but you're going to have to make your own due diligence and decision on what you want to do. I prefer to go with a place that is approved by the state. So if I do have to turn in certain documentations, I know that they've reached all the legal requirements and I am protected up under that umbrella. Okay. And so you have local homeschooling associations, you have national homeschooling associations. They not only help you hold your records and also be basically a point of contact for you if you need to use them for something. They usually offer resources. They pretty much keep up to date on whatever the legal laws are, if they are in your state. I would say that That's why I chose a homeschooling association that was in our state of South Carolina, because I know they're staying in the know. Even if I miss something, they will get it. And these organizations often send out newsletters or different alerts when legislators change the rules and the laws. And so you need to make sure that if you're not going to stay up to date with what's going on, that you need to make sure that you have yourself in an association that is going to keep up for you. Subscribe to any type of legal newsletters, especially with law firms that specifically handle various different educational laws, and homeschoolers, because the law for education and homeschoolers is different from the generalized law, and it can change throughout the year, especially now since everyone's paying attention to it. So make sure that you stay in the know. When you see different events that's going on, webinars, make sure that you be there, whether virtual or in person. I'm actually going to be a part of a homeschooling event it's called for the Flourish community. And if you pay attention, I'm going to be dropping a link either on this video, or I'll be dropping it on some other places in the community, because we're streaming all over the place right now. So I would do my best to try to come back and drop that link for you guys to be able to come in January 2025. Because going to these workshops, these events, these conferences actually help you be able to grow, and also help you build your own community with homeschooling, because you're going to need that support, especially if you decide to homeschool and your family or your significant other is not really in support of homeschooling. You're going to have to build your tribe. So regularly review your government, let's go back to that one. You need to regularly review your government websites in regards to your state Department of Education, your local school district, to see what's up to date with homeschooling regulations. I would say research the organization, join as a member for the ones that you feel like is good for you. And then, like I said, participate in various different events and online communities, such as on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, private communities such as CTR, homeschooling. It's just so many places that you can just get that good help from, along with which I have found magazines to be very helpful, such as the Homeschooling Interactive magazine is a good one. Schoolhouse Homeschooling is a good one. It's various different magazines that's centered around secular homeschoolers, another one, that are very, very good, that you can actually subscribe to, and some are paid, some are free. And you can actually get the help that you need. And if you're looking for some previous magazines that we have, you can go to ctrhomeschooling.com. We have some of our previous issues like for $4 or $5, very inexpensive for you to be able to get the help from people that are homeschooling just like you. Having, maybe at some time you might need a lawyer, so make sure you get a lawyer that is specialized in education, in particular homeschooling. There is communities for that, and I'm gonna drop the link a little bit later. So module 2, choosing the right homeschool approach. Let me go see and check some comments. Hello everyone. Hey Swagger. Okay, so I'm gonna go into module 2 right quick. Choosing the right homeschooling approach. This is the part that I really love getting into, because I love homeschooling philosophies. Oh, I just love it, especially when I start to understand the importance of understanding learning styles and all of that, which, even though I went to school for early childhood development and all that good stuff, psychology, sociology, this I never thought about in regards to education. So when it comes to homeschooling, there are various different educational philosophies, various different approaches that you can choose from. I was what they called an eclectic homeschooler, which I'll talk about that a little bit more later, which just basically means that we did a little bit of everything. And so each philosophy has its own methodology, its own focus, underlining the principles that you want to adhere to for your homeschooling journey. Now, there are traditional homeschoolers, which their approach is mirrors the conventional schooling a little bit because it's more structured. They have textbooks, have more graded assignments. It often allows you to use the same curriculum used that's in public or private schools, and you just simply bringing school home to your home school, traditional school. Now, this is not the approach that worked for many homeschoolers because for the simple fact is if you have decided to remove your child from public school and then you're just mimicking the public school model and you're wondering why it's not working, then this is probably why. Because every child cannot learn just from sitting down. And I had to learn that for myself. Some children need to move. Then we have this classic education, which is just like a method of when you divide your learning into 3 stages: grammar, logic, and it says rhythmic, but it basically means that you're building up. The best way that I can explain it is like Lego blocks. As you build a Lego house, you're going to keep layering more and more blocks. So basically, the classical way of education is building blocks. So whatever you taught in elementary school, you're going to build a little bit more on top of it every single year. You may speak on or address the same topic and subject for more than 1 year. It's just basically you're building it, making it more difficult, broadening the understanding, extending the logical thinking on it, building out language, and you use a lot of classical learning with books and music and art, all that, right? So then we get into Montessori. Now, Montessori homeschooling is what I like because it's different parts of it that I like. Montessori homeschooling is like self-directed. So the child is pretty much, say, for example, you put the child in the room and you have learning stations. One is for science, one is for math, one is for art, one is for reading, one is for math, right? Now, if it's self-directed, even though you're kind of guiding it, you allow the child to pick what they want to do. And then, but at some point in the day, they have to finish, or however you have your schedule, they will have to finish all the stations within a certain time period, but it's up to them how they do it. So it's more focused on a child's natural curiosity. So most of the time with Montessori, you will build something around the child's interest for their individual development. So even if a child is 12 years old, but they have a thinking ability of maturity more of an 8-year-old, then with the Montessori approach, you will not look at the chronological age as much. You will look at the emotional age of the child. What can they mentally handle, even though they're 12, but they're more like 8 years old from an emotional standpoint. And you encourage the natural curiosity of the child, and then you infuse that natural curiosity into the learning process. So it's a lot of hands-on, So you will notice that a child with a Montessori approach, they will not just read math and do worksheets. They will most likely be immersed in it with blocks and manipulatives and videos and games. And it's a lot of different things, right? Which ignite all of those senses. That's why I like Montessori approach. We took a little bit of that, a little bit of classical, a little bit of traditional. And the last one is like, and I'm going to tell you this, these are not all the different types of homeschooling approaches. This is just a couple. It's way more than this. And I may just need to do a video just on the different approaches because, I mean, it's a list of them. But we just talking about this for this presentation. Then we have unschooling. So unschooling is completely child-led, completely child interest-based. It's based on real life experiences, exploration, self-initiated learning rather than a fixed curriculum. So if it's an unschooler, they may decide that they don't even want to use books. They're going to use life. They're going to immerse themselves into instead of reading a geography book, you're going to take your child on a road trip and you're going to experience traveling from state to state. Instead of learning about South Carolina or Georgia or Tennessee, you're driving there and letting them just totally get immersed in whatever it is that you're learning at the time. So instead of them just learning math, you in the kitchen cooking, and you're splitting up a pizza or the food into fractions, and then you eat it. So it's different ways of creativity, but it's child-led. So if the child wants to read, you build reading around whatever the child want to do. Now, this approach do not work for everybody, but for some people, unschooling is the best option for them. So I would say once you figure out your homeschooling approach, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really feel like anyone really figures out their homeschooling approach in the first year, because you're kind of bouncing around that first year of homeschooling, trying to figure it out. You want to do everything right. And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna fail forward many, many times, because you're new to homeschooling. You're really getting reintroduced to your children, and they getting reintroduced to you, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with your children if they was in public school before versus you homeschooling. They're going to be with you mostly all the time, right? And so if your children was used to being in public school and you hardly ever saw them because they was in school like 8 hours a day, 6-8 hours a day, you're going to have some time to get to learn and know your children. And they're going to have time to get to learn and know you. And in the midst of you guys getting reintroduced to each other, you're trying to figure out each one of your children's unique abilities in order to bring out the best in each one of them. And ideally, what we would love to have is all the children learn the exact same way. But I'm here to tell you that is not the case. So give yourself grace, be patient with yourself, and it's going to be a journey. But once you figure it out, it's going to be smooth sailing. So then we have the Charlotte Mason approach. So this is where you use literature, the nature study, arts, living books instead of textbooks. Living books are more like active, engaging books that encourage you to get into nature. All right, fostering a love for learning and exploring the wide range of subjects in a different way. Okay, and then we have Waldorf education, is more of holistic learning, intellectual artistry, practical skills that children need to know. I would say the Waldorf education holistic approach is more like the Little House on the Prairie. It's a mix of how they learned back then, as well as it's kind of blended with the Charlotte Mason a little bit. And so if you are familiar with Little House on the Prairie and how they learned in one big classroom and how they did different stuff, it's similar to that. But of course, it's different variations of that based upon the family, because you can take a philosophy or take a homeschooling approach and then you adapt that to your homeschooling experience. Now, what type of homeschool? I was, like eclectic. I was very eclectic in our homeschool, which means that based upon the subject and the unique needs of my children, I tailored it based upon what I knew that would be best for them, and how they responded to the information. So some things I had to be more traditional, more structured, similar to the public school approach, because maybe it wasn't a topic that they particularly liked, but they still have to learn it. Legally, I still have to teach it, and they have to learn it, and they have to pass it, because we don't be giving no grades here. They earn those grades, right? And so I noticed that the traditional approach worked a little bit better, along with a mixture of the Montessori approach with hands-on learning. And then literature. I used a little bit of Charlotte Mason. I used a little bit of Waldorf learning. I used videos. I used a lot of kinetics learning, which just basically means you're moving around a lot. Your activities are moving, so you don't have to sit down. So we change our philosophy based on the unique needs of our child, based upon their likes and dislike of a subject. And based upon their dislike of a subject will determine how creative we get, and based upon how they learn, so that it could guide them to be able to enjoy it some, even though it was not their particular subject that they like. But the things that they absolutely love, we had no problem. Okay, they would sit there and do it for hours on end. But yeah, so we was more eclectic. So we would do a little bit of everything in order to get to the finish line, and it worked very, very well with both of our children. But it took time for me to be able to learn how to maneuver and pivot based upon my children's unique needs, okay, and learning styles. It took me some years to figure that out. Aligning your education philosophies with your family values and goals. Now, this is what set homeschooling apart. This is one of the main reasons why many individuals decide to homeschool, because they want to have control over their child's learning. And so with that being said, it's different things that a parent can do. And these are some of the things, because parents, at the end of the day, we want our children to reflect our core values. Every family has a different set of things that they feel is important to the functionality of their family. And so the beautiful thing about homeschooling is, as you're teaching your children, you can infuse those family traditions, those values, those goals, those intentions into your child, that positivity, those affirmations, that self-esteem, that confidence into your children every single day. All right. And so you can choose to reflect on your values. What is most important to you and your family? Do you value structure and discipline? Do you prefer flexibility and creativity? Basically, you determine what philosophy aligns with your family. And then each family is different. So you may see someone else over here doing that and someone else over here doing this, but you have to figure out what's best for you. And I tell people, you look at what other people are doing and use it as inspiration, not as your blueprint of how you're supposed to do it, because there's no right or wrong way of homeschooling. When you start getting into copying and mimicking other people and the way that they do it to a letter, to the T, then you're going to find that homeschooling is not going to be very enjoyable for you or your children, because you will never reach someone else's expectations. Okay, so you need to make sure that you use other people as inspiration, but you do not take their whole way, not unless it actually fits what you do. And that's when it makes sense. So you need to consider your child or children's needs based upon their personality, their interests, their learning style. Some children, they flourish, like my daughter. She flourishes in a more structured environment, whereas my son did not. Okay, certain areas I was more structured, but then other areas I had to make sure I had hands-on, active movement, immersing him into the subject, having living books, having audio books, having video textbooks, because he has dyslexia as well. So I had to get very creative with him. But also my daughter, being that she was gifted and talented, making sure that she's not getting bored, because she get bored. All right. So you have to understand and be willing to adjust and be flexible, and also set educational goals for you and your family. So what do you want to achieve year 1, year 2? Now, with that in mind, I do not want you to be so overly strict that if you do not reach something in that certain period of time that you had destined for it to happen, if it doesn't happen within that time frame, you do not need to get down on yourself or your children, because life happens. When we make these plans, these agendas, the only thing that you need to make sure that you concentrate on is making sure, based upon your state, that you get everything that you need to get done. Okay, you may not get it all done within the first quarter like you initially planned, but as long as you get it completed within those 180 days, you will be completely fine. Although academics actually help your children with life and being able to get that career, that job, or whatever that they want to do, but we also want to make sure that we instill in our children when we're homeschooling character development, fostering that love of lifelong learning in various different ways. You want to make sure that you utilize your homeschooling experience to do more than just academics. And I know you're probably like, whoa, do more than academics? Yes, your children need soft skills. They need real life skills. They need life experiences. They need to be able to understand how to take care of their mental health, how to do self-care. Think about all the things that is taught in public school. Look for a way that you can actually administer that, because normally if you have a state that requires you to do certain things, you have to do certain things based upon your state anyway. But outside of that, I want you to think of all the things that you wish you would have known when you were in school. Like, for example, finances. They teach us math in public school, but they don't teach no finances 101. They don't teach you how to start a business. They don't teach you how to take care of your self-care and mental health. They don't teach you about life skills. I know back in the day, we used to have home economics back in the day in school. They don't even do that anymore. So what else can you give your children or teach your children? Think about this right here. What is it that you love to do as a parent that gives you joy? Share your family history with them. Bring them, take them on trips. Explain to them the love of the culture and how they are significant. They are loved. They are worthy. Instill all of that amazing greatness inside your children to prepare them to go to the outside world. Many times our children in general, they're not prepared. They're prepared academic wise, but not on an emotional, mental level. And we need to make sure that we put just as much attention to the mental and social wellness as we do with academics, because we're going to make sure them academics is on point. But what about the rest? What about the rest? So that's why I love homeschooling, because you can address all the rest along with the things that we have to do as well. And so some people, they like to do pre-packaged curriculum. Pretty much there are different companies that they have curriculum based upon every single subject that you have to take. And you just purchase it, they send it to you, and you just go over it just like you would do any other book. Now, this is a more structured approach, and if this is not something that you think that you should be doing, then I do not encourage you to invest in that, because it could cost you anywhere between $350 to about $2,000, depending upon what grade level, what you're doing, how advanced. Is it honors? Is it advanced placement? Is it special needs? It's different factors that equates when you're purchasing curriculum. And I'm going to be honest, from being a homeschooling mom for over a decade, I have never seen a time where any curriculum that I bought worked as is. I had to always adjust it in some way, shape, or form in order to fit our uniqueness, okay? And so you should never depend on any curriculum per se to be the how can I say it, to be the thing that you feel like, if I have this curriculum, then my children will be successful. No. Their success is not wrapped up in anybody's already made curriculum. Their success is wrapped up in what you instill in them and help them to see and foster those good values. Because you can have the top rated curriculum and it still don't work for you. And you need to learn how to be flexible and learn how to adjust. You use what you can use from the curriculum, and then you adjust what you need to adjust. And I had to learn that. And that's where I can make anything a curriculum. I can take a dictionary, a thesaurus, a sales paper, a magazine. I can build a curriculum with anything anybody gives me because I understand the mechanism of what curriculum is, okay, and what it isn't. I can build a curriculum with posters, educational posters, flashcards, built the whole curriculum with a dictionary, did all the subjects. So once you understand how to do it and what it is with curriculum, you won't have to spend all that amount of money. But I know for some people, it's more easier for you to do that. And that's you, then go ahead and do you, boo. Do you, okay? But I just want you to know that you do not have to spend enormous amount of money in order for your child to have a quality education. You can also customize your learning plans. Like I was saying, building your own curriculum that's customized learning plans based upon your children's learning style, interests, needs, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Some families that are religious based, they will also infuse biblical theology inside of their curriculum as well. So it just depends on what is your family core values. Some people are secular. Secular just simply means that you are educating your children without the use of any type of religion. And then you have Christian-based education, where, of course, opposite word Christian, which means that you're going to be teaching your children something about the Bible in the midst of your academia. And either way is fine. I have done all. And so it's just totally up to you at the end of the day, as long as you reach your requirements for your particular state. So tips for selecting the age appropriate and engaging material is, first of all, you just need to know your child's learning level. Okay. Assess your child's current abilities and select materials that challenge them but don't overwhelm them. Let me say that again. You need to assess your child's current abilities and select materials that challenge them but do not overwhelm them. Many times we pick or select curriculum that it's challenging, but it had reached the borderline of now it's not just challenging, now it's overwhelming, creating just a whole different situation. We do not want to do that. We still want to challenge our children, but we don't want to overwhelm them. And when you start overwhelming your children, you help create the situation where they hate learning. Okay, let me say that again. When you start overwhelming your children, it's different from challenging them, because we do want to challenge them. But when it gets to the level of overwhelming them, that is that dangerous territory where then you become your child's, how can I say it? Your child develops a distaste for learning, because now they're looking at any type of learning as overwhelming, as stressful, as they're anxious, they're building up all these various different emotions around learning, that they just doing their work just to get through it, but they're not enjoying it. And you don't want to build your homeschool around anything like that. You really want them to enjoy. We know you can't enjoy every single topic because you don't like every single topic. But for the most part, 90% of it should be a very enjoyable experience, because I give 10% for the topics that your child just don't like. Two subjects that children usually have more difficulty with is English and math. English and math. So if that is the case, look for engaging, fun, challenging ways that is different from how you would traditionally address that topic. Like, I knew I could not use the entire school year a traditional textbook without having hands-on with math. Okay, I had one child that loved math, one child that didn't. But the one that didn't, I had to get very creative with videos, with hands-on manipulatives, with music, with outside and inside activities, with some worksheets, but then also doing oral tests versus all written tests, doing challenging them with using literature, with poetry, and writing out math, like changing it to a game show. I had to get very creative with making the math questions like a game show. And we had buzzers. I had to end up doing all kind of things I did in order to make math fun. And now they did fairly well. So you have to get very creative when your children do not like a particular subject. Don't just say, oh, well, figure out, is there anything that you can possibly do in order to make that less stressful and less overwhelming. Based on your core subjects or your electives, such as your Spanish and all that good stuff, you want to make sure that your children have a well-rounded education, not just on the standard academia, math, English, science, language, arts. You want to make sure they have home economics, Spanish, French, or, any other language, fine arts, music, PE. You can even have your children be in extracurricular activities with the public schools, such as football, cheerleading, all of that. Even though they're homeschooling, they can just go there just for those activities and then leave after it's over with. I really love infusing interactive and hands-on materials when you're learning, such as board games, educational games, experiments, field trips. All of these things enhance the learning experience, along with online resources such as virtual classes, websites, interactive learning platforms, TV shows that are educational driven or life skill driven, textbooks that they may be structured and they may have like comprehensive subjects in it to cover, but the way that it's broken down into supplementary materials make it a very enjoyable experience. So instead of giving your child 12 pages of worksheets, you give them 3 at a time, or based upon how quick they get it done, you can challenge them with little incentives. Because I used to have different incentives based upon grades, based upon level of knowledge, based upon explanation of a particular subject or a thesis. I would do different things in order to make it very engaging for the children when I was homeschooling. You also can use alternative educational tools such as educational apps, documentaries, podcasts. Like I literally created various different curriculum around podcasts, documentaries, educational apps, project-based learning, where I actually built out certain things for them to create a project. It's so many different things that you can actually do, that the list goes on and on. So we have different type of learners based upon your child's learning style. We're going to get a little bit into this, and this is going to be our last part for tonight. We have a comment coming in from Facebook. Wendy said, children don't learn the exact same way. That's for sure. Yes, you are absolutely correct. They do not. It would be much easier if they did, but they don't. Okay. And so understanding the learning style was the key to having a successful homeschool for me. And I would say this because in the midst of me trying to figure out my children's particular learning style, I was able to finally figure out why I do things the way that I do it. So in the midst of me homeschooling my children, I actually start understanding myself and my abilities, because certain things about myself, the way that I learn, the way that I digest information, I just didn't get it, right? I had to do, like, I need to hear it, see it, touch it, feel it, write it down, all kind of stuff, right? So I was like, what? So it helped me learn about myself in the midst of me on a journey trying to figure out how my children learn. And once that door was unlocked and we had that key, the world of education became so surreal. It's like it went into 4K. Like it was just vivid. It was enjoyable. It was no limits. So I encourage you to take time to learn your child's learning style, because once you unlock that key, It doesn't matter what topic, what subject, whatever you have to do, you will be able to adapt, adjust, build, pivot, and grow. It is not anything that anyone can throw at you, your child, your children, that you will not be able to do because you understand the way that your brain works. And once you understand the way that yours works, the way that your children work, there is not anything or anybody that can stop you then. Now, getting to that process is sometimes a little difficult and sometimes it can be a little stressful. I'm going to keep it totally 100 because you may think you got it and you're like, wait, I thought, oh, okay. And one thing that I had to learn also is that when my children was elementary school age, I had it down pat. But boy, when they got to middle school and hit puberty, it was like I had totally different children. I had to relearn my children all over again because what they liked and what they did in elementary with the learning approach did not necessarily work for them in middle school and high school. And it makes sense because here you are going from an adolescent to a young adult. And so the needs of an adolescent is not the same as a young adult, ones that are approaching young adulthood, right? And so your hormones, the way that you think, the different things going on with your body, you coming into your own. And so I had to relearn my child or children all over again. And I'm not going to lie, that was frustrating because I said, I finally got it down pat, and now here I go. Now it's a whole different child. Like, what is this? What you mean? This don't work no more. Like, what? So I'm just going to tell you, I don't know if it's going to happen with you, but it did happen with me. My elementary children, when they hit sixth grade, seventh grade, they were straight. When they hit puberty in eighth grade and all the hormones and all that hit, that's when I had to readjust everything. But after I readjust everything, then they went on into high school, and by that time I already had experience with all the different learning styles. So it wasn't hard for me to adjust and pivot and grow because I was already very, very knowledgeable about it. So it didn't take me as long to get to the finish line. But it still was frustrating because I had everything mapped out, okay? But let's get to the different learning styles. So we have the visual learners. These are the children that learn best from seeing things and the benefits from visual aids such as charts, diagrams, videos, and written instructions. And visual learners, they also learn better from, it's not here, but pictures. So if you give your child any directions on how to do things, you will notice that some children do way better if they have a small picture along with a sentence or two for them to be able to read and be able to follow the step-by-step guide. Now, we do also have what we call audio learners. These are the type of learners that prefer listening to the information in their environment. So they thrive when you give them lectures and participate in discussions, and they listen to audio books and recordings. They absolutely thrive. Then we have what we call kinetic learners. Kinetic learners, they learn best through hands-on activity. These children have to move to learn. And this is where I tell all of my parents who have children with ADD, ADHD, you have to let the child move. I know we have been conditioned and trained that the only way a child can truly learn if they're sitting still behind a desk. We have been trained to believe that, but I'm here to tell you that is not true. There are some children that cannot learn effectively if they are not moving. That is the way that their brain works. And I know it from experience because I did a lot of study on the right side of the brain and how important it is for children to move. They have to move in order for to permanentize the information into their head. Because if they don't, they're gonna keep it for a small second and it's gonna go away. After you learn it that day, then you have to go relearn it. The way for their brain to process it, they have to move. And so I had one child, he has to move in order for us to do spelling because he also is dyslexic. I literally had to let him jump rope. We had to throw a ball back and forth, one letter for each word. So if we were spelling the word ball, he would say the word ball, and I would throw the ball to him, and he would say B and throw it back to me. Then I throw it back to him. He'd say A, back and forth until he spelled out the whole word. Then literally I had a different section where he had to jump rope and spell out words. We had flashcards. We had audio books. We also had video. We had video spelling where literally he was spelling with videos on the television. I had to do everything that was against the norm in order for my child to learn how to spell and write. And he has dyslexia too, and he had ADD. Well, he still do. But I'm just saying, and it was very difficult for me because I was trained. Most of us are trained that we're gonna sit in a desk, and that's how we learn. And see, my daughter, she could sit. She's very studious. Okay, so she can sit there for hours and just read, write, learn, do all the work. Right, no problem. Then I have my other child, my son, bouncing off the walls, cutting cartwheels, flips, and I was like, why can't you just sit down like your sister? And then I realized, listen, that's not how he learned. So either I'm going to go with the flow with how he learns so that he can thrive, or I'm going to continuously make this right here a very stressful environment for him and myself. And I decided to yield. When I did yield and then allow him to move and have these hands-on activities, my goodness, the whole world opened up for him and I. Learning was exciting and fun. And it helped me to see, as a former educator in a public school, that we are missing the dime a lot with most children because we are not allowing them to move. Because in the traditional school system, if you're moving around, that's bad, right? And so it just helped me to see that is a fallacy for us, and that is one reason why so many children, I feel, is overly medicated, because that's just the way that they learn. But we're trained that children are supposed to be still 24/7, 7 days a week. And that's just not the case with every child. Every child cannot learn like that. And be honest, no children really should be still all the time, because how are they going to grow? How are they going to grow? How are they going to learn at the end of the day? And so I had to learn that the hard way. Okay, so next, you need to be flexible. You need to use whatever approach or approaches that you need to use in order to solidify your child's learning style, in order to make it fun. I like to be flexible and a little diverse with our learning style. That's why I love the eclectic learning or the eclectic homeschooling approach, because you can do a little bit of everything that's based upon your child's unique needs with that particular topic or subject. But most of all, you want to create a comfortable learning environment for you and your family, a place where your children feel safe, they feel reassured, and even on topics and subjects they do not feel as confident in, you create an environment that is so conducive to learning that they will still be rock stars, okay? And give them all the love and attention that they need in order for them to thrive on things that they're excellent at, as well as things that they still need help on. And look for outside help when you can, in order to assist you with the various different things that you need to do with the homeschooling journey. Delegation, delegation, delegation. So I am going to stop right here. Let me see how long this was. So we are right now at an hour. So I'm going to stop here, and then we may do module 3 very, very soon. But this was a test, and I can see on the back end that it did not go in the place that I wanted to go, but it went everywhere else. This video. But anyway, thank you for those of you who are listening live. And if you want to hear the next part, because I think we have 7 modules. So if you want me to come live and you want to ask questions and you want me to do module 3 through 7, then write it in the chat and I'll do my best to try to fit it in this week if you want to hear it. If not, I'll try my best to do a pre-recorded and upload it to CTR Homeschooling, CTR Media Network, and on all the different social media platforms, because I want you to be well aware. I want you to be, most importantly, I want you to be prepared so that if you decide to homeschool, you can do it with confidence. You won't have all that self-doubt, because I'm letting you know the nitty-gritty. Okay, I'm letting you know for real. This is how it is. This is how it isn't. And I want to make sure that from a legal standpoint, because I'm not a lawyer, you need a lawyer for that, but I am a homeschooling mom, and I'm just giving you this information so that you won't have any missteps. Of course, you're still going to have to do your own due diligence and do some research based upon your state, but this is a great generalized information that I feel that every homeschooling parent or aspiring to become a homeschooling parent should know before they start homeschooling, okay? Especially when it's dealing with the legal side of it. But you guys have a great, amazing rest of your night. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you guys today. And let me go ahead and take this off the screen. Let me stop sharing. And we're going to have some more conversation about homeschooling. I think what I'm going to do is just come back and just break down, once I get through with this presentation, break down one video just talking about learning styles, one video talking about, all the different things, instead of doing this big presentation, right? Which I was not intending to do tonight. But when I saw you guys on, I said, let me give you guys some food for thought, because this is a question that's asked to me about 1,000 times or more with homeschooling. So the goal is, if you do want to homeschool, you can homeschool. And lastly, before I go, if I can show it to you, I'm going to see, can I show it to you? We have an educational directory at CTR Media Network, right? And so if you're looking for resources, if you are an educator or you have a curriculum, book, resource, service that you feel that would benefit the homeschooling community, then I encourage you to join our educational/curriculum directory. We have a community of over 23,000 homeschooling parents worldwide. And bring what you bring to the table so that we can help our children be able to thrive. And this is a CTR Homeschooling is open to everyone. So we have a Spanish teacher, and you can do all of your learning online with Miss LaShonda, Miss Fitzgerald. We have Keisha. She actually helps with certification programs that's affordable to help them to go into the workplace. We also have our CTR homeschooling sponsor, DeShonda Jennings. She helps with early childhood education. If you want to start your own daycare or family or childcare center, she actually helps you with that. We also have an online private school, K through 12 Academy, with Dr. Venezes. And we have Passion to Pay Projects, which is a nonprofit offering financial education with Dr. Boyd. We have Erica Battle, that is an expert in reading literacy and comprehension. So if your children do not like reading and you're trying to help them with that, she is an expert in that. We also have a licensed teacher and instructor specialist, Khadija Thomas. She actually works with the parents to help them provide high quality teaching education and to deliver it in a fun, engaging way with lessons. We have Nicole Doyle. She is a school choice and parents' rights advocate. She's in Georgia, and so she has Christian center-based, parent-led homeschooling cooperative. So they offer classes, extracurricular clubs, family-centered field trips, academic showcases, social events. It's actually an event that they're getting ready to do in 2025, January, that I'm going to be posting about very, very soon, which is called the Black Homeschooling Flourish Conference. And it's not just for African American individuals. Any ethnicity is welcome to come. But it's an amazing 3-day event, and I'm telling you, I have went to many events over the years, and they by far is number one. And I don't mean to step on anybody's toes, but they are number one with the aesthetics, the amount and the wealth of information. It's almost like I love the presentation of their events because it make you feel like you're at a wedding, because it's very luxurious. You just have to see that. Mostly when we go to homeschooling events, it's real laid back. We in jeans and stuff. You can still wear jeans, but I'm just saying it's so luxurious. I mean, you feel it's an experience. You have to come, and it's very inexpensive. And if you want to be a vendor or whatever, you can sign up. We have Amy Scott from Funcation, where she has so many different online classes and electives that you can take on her virtual platform to help improve your students' performance. And I mean, she has over 230 plus classes. I think more than that. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. We have Professor Shirley Lewis. She is one of our bilingual education consultants. So she teaches multiple languages. She also helped the parents and the educators be able to educate and educators transition from traditional educators over into homeschooling, because she has done both, or is doing both. We have our Adrienne Brown, which she is a homeschooling coach and author. She actually is a homeschooling mom of 8 children. She has been homeschooling for over 26 years. She is just a wealth of education and support. So I encourage you to check out her book and check out everything that she does, because anything that's dealing with homeschooling that you have to go through, been through, whatever, trust and believe she know everything, because she is knocking on getting close to 30 years of homeschooling very, very soon. And of course, myself, I'm a homeschooling coach and teacher, author. My specialty is helping parents de-stress the homeschooling process. And if they have a child with autism, ADD, ADHD, I help you through that and be able to provide curriculum support, technology guidance, and also resources, not just for children with autism, ADHD, or ADD, but my specialty is working with parents with children with those, I would say, with those differences. That is because I have a child with autism, ADD, also dyslexia. So, anywho, we have more people coming in. If you would like to be a part of our directory, just go to our website at ctrhomeschooling.com, and you can see the requirements in order to participate. We also have Shayna Asby. She's our family life coach and program coordinator. So she helped coordinate various different programmings. She's also helped with bringing the family back together to develop those SMART goals for you, your family, and your children. So check them out on today. The next thing I want to show you guys, if it allow me to show it. So we have our own online 24/7 TV channel where it's showing various different homeschool events, various different homeschooling interviews from homeschooling parents as well as educators. And I encourage you guys to go watch it. It's for absolutely free, where you can get the support that you need, and they maybe answer some questions that you may have. This is absolutely free. This is our way of giving back to the community, where you can watch for free. You can also go to ctrmedianetwork.com and download us on Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Apple, iOS, Google Play, all that good stuff. But if you want to watch just the homeschooling stuff, right over here, baby, right over here. And if you have content that you would like to possibly add to our homeschooling channel, let us know, and we will let you know the requirements that you need to have in order to participate in that. But I encourage you guys to definitely go check it out. On that note, This is CTR Media Network. Oh, no, CTRhomeschooling.com. CTR network is powered by CTR Media Network. And we also have different coupons there as well. So if you need a math curriculum, Learn Math Fast has given our people 10% off. You can also check that out on our website where you click the curriculum and you'll be able to see all the various different curriculum that individuals have, and you can decide what you want to purchase, what you want to invest in, all that good stuff like that. So you guys have a great, amazing rest of your night. Your girl is getting ready to go back and lay down, but thank you for allowing me to have some of your time on today. And remember, you can homeschool, and if you choose to homeschool, you will be successful at it, okay? But you just have to do it your way. Use this as inspiration, not duplication, but inspiration, to be able to find your own unique homeschooling journey way for you and your family, because your children will be successful. Point blank. I am Dr. J. Ramsey, and this is CTR Homeschooling.com. You guys have a great rest of your night, and check out our website. Our magazines are up, our TV is up, all the good things, so that you guys, and we have some things up there for absolutely free as well. So go check it out. If you want to get some freebies, check it out. Talk to you later. Bye.